Good morning from Klaipėda Hostel. Ooh, where's the walkie-talkie traveller channel taking you today? There are some obvious places in Klaipėda and around, but I'm going to a less obvious place where probably no tourist would ever get recommended to visit. That's not because there's any danger there or because there's nothing to see or do. Far from it. It's just, for some reason, an area that gets forgotten about. But what we'll do first of all is we'll start with a short walk. There's our bus station, the main bus station. If you're coming from Kaunas or Vilnius or Riga, or departing to those cities, we're going around here towards the train station just to show you how flipping close it is. It's so convenient. Speaking of which, if you've got an electric vehicle, you can even charge it right here. Isn't that super? The hostel itself has this garden, by the way, which I've failed to point out, and there are parking spots available there if you're coming with a motorbike or a car camper van of your own. You can also get your washing done in the hostel, and you can either get it dried by the drying machine, or if you prefer, just get it washed or wash it yourself and hang it out to dry in the back garden. And when the sun's shining like this, and when there's a light breeze in the air, seems a good place as any to get your laundry done. Who are these two cheeky abandoned monkeys? Don't know. And we're going over to the train station, that's right. Just around the corner from the hostel, as you will see, you have more dining options. If you didn't want to pop into the cafe in the train station, which is a smart option to go there, very nice place. You can have a slightly more upmarket breakfast, lunch or evening meal right here. An old railway building, now being recommended by this gentleman standing outside. If you like Hogwarts style architecture, that's my little teaser for later in the video, because when I was last in the university area of Klaipėda, which is in the general area where we'll be going, I was admiring the old architecture, but noticing they're also putting up some new buildings. And I'm curious how they turned out, what they look like, and whether they all blend together, you know, because sometimes things don't always blend together. Facing us directly across the road is the train station, and it's 10:30 in the morning. I got up at 8, woke at 8, slept like I've never slept before. No, it's not quite true, but I slept really well. Another piece of artwork, but it's more than artwork. It's a poignant reminder of displaced people. Particularly poignant for ethnic German people who were forced to flee the area. Klaipėda, the map. That's always good to see when you arrive at a train station, isn't it? And we'll go back to the road here. So you can see the hostel, very nice and convenient if you're arriving at any time of the day or night by train or the even closer bus. I'll be pointing out an amusement park, botanical garden, university buildings, a dog exercising park, and an adventure park, and a skateboard area. And the city park comprises many of those things, but not all. This is where we're going. And just on the other side of the city park, on the western side, not too far away from the city beach. I guess it isn't the favourite beach for people to go to if you're living in Klaipėda. Then you're more likely to pop over to the very large sandbar, pop over to Smiltene with the ferry, which is what we'll be doing later in the week. However, there is this long beach reasonably close to the city centre, which is also an option. Whichever one you choose, you know, up here in the Baltics, you can always find your little piece of paradise away from the other tourists, the other locals, and just find that part of the beach for you. Doesn't that sound cool? And we just have to negotiate the road around here. So we are crossing the railway tracks, kind of, but we're going underneath them rather than over them. I couldn't help noticing the stop eating animals. An order has been decreed. Not sure anybody will be listening, but you never know. We're on HOGWARTS, believe it or not. That's exactly the same alignment as we took coming all the way from Acropolis when we arrived in Klaipėda. Just going, if you just go straight and keep going straight, you're going to end up coming up here. Nice bit of architecture. Feeling a bit Hogwarty. You are here. In the greater scheme of things, we've just walked up here. Train station back down this way. And we're here, we're walking up here. There's a designated cycle path, allegedly. And Klaipėda City Park up there. It's all going rather well. Klaipėda University was founded in the former Klaipėda City Barracks, built between 1904 and 1907. The complex consisted of 8 neo-Gothic red brick buildings. Of these, 6 remain to this day. 2 4-storey buildings for soldiers, a lower structure for worship purposes and a canteen, and the other 3 for headquarters, guards, officer flats and warehouses. The buildings were used for army needs up until 1993, then transferred to the University of Klaipėda. That might be a bit confusing for you up there. Memel. Memel is the old German word, because a lot of Baltic Germans were living around here and had been living around here for several hundred years before the Second World War. For the bigger picture, hostels over here, and we were just taking a look at the train station and come along and under and up to here. We're going on to the city park, and as I mentioned before, City Beach over here. You can get a bus there if you don't feel like a walk. And I'm just looking to see where those botanical gardens are. Up here, there we go. The botanical gardens. Again, a little bit of a walk. You'd want to give yourself an hour to walk there. And if you didn't fancy taking the walk, again, there'll be a bus going up there. Haven't investigated the buses because I'm not running the bussy talky traveller channel, although it's an idea, isn't it, for a second channel. Enough of talky, let's get to more walky. Really can't help being drawn in off the street to look at these very attractive, I would call them Hogwarty. Why not? Hogwarty buildings. An impressive door there. Whether I get somebody working at the university rushing up to me to let me know, hopefully without violence, that I'm not allowed to film in here. In fact, I'm not even allowed to be here because I am not a member of the faculty and I'm definitely not a student. But so far, so good. If you have an interest in architecture, then you definitely want to come down here, don't you? Is it worth risking a night in the cells? I'm not saying it is, but I'm also not saying it isn't. And after all the naked ladies we've been seeing immortalised in metal, we've got a naked gent here. Would you Adam and Eve it? Pretty much impossible to get it all in the one shot. And there can be no mistake while creepy looking men with cameras are accepted on campus. Dogs looking like this and of this colour are not. Which is always a sad thing to see, isn't it? Discrimination. Dogism. And dogma's bad enough, but dogism, where does it all end? Oh, if you want to eat where the students eat, you can pop over there and treat yourself between 8 in the morning and 10:30 in the morning, Monday to Friday, at for breakfast anyway. Student prices. Huh. Now you're interested, aren't you? Or perhaps what you're thinking is, yeah, it will just be all cold pizza from last night, won't it? Because that's what the students will be used to. Maybe not. It's definitely, if you're coming on an Erasmus exchange program or any other tourist program which allows you to study for a while in Klaipėda. You'll be getting very used to these buildings and that breakfast canteen option as well, I'm sure. A smaller building, and there's, I'm not sure if it's a stylized bell. What would you make of it? My guesswork is it's a stylized bell. Just trying to avoid the young people. Oh, and I see these are very young students, too young for university, unless they're a collection of young geniuses from around the world. All got their A-levels about 6 years before they would normally be expected to have got their A-levels. Well, I did mention Hogwartsy, didn't I? What on earth is all this stuff? Looking around the back of it. I made an exclamation as though suddenly I understood it all. And of course I don't. However, if I knew how to read Lithuanian, I would understand it all because it's written perfectly there. 1933, 1996, 1998. I don't know if this marks a tragedy or what it means, to be frank. All I do know is that to me, this whole ensemble of buildings is a very nice place to look around. And this one, even I can understand what this one is. This building now is the University Library. So that means it might be the best place for the Wi-Fi, or it's empty because nobody reads books these days. Bit of acidic social commentary for you from a man who has never really read many books, to be frank. Oh, and on this side, that makes it much clearer. If you read Lithuanian,